fact that the all the additional wealth in this country goes to the wealthy and the super wealthy, and now the super wealthy. That's I think that's a source of deep resentment. I think a lot of the populism comes out of a kind of a bafflement. I mean, if you think about both, let's say especially the US, but also a lot of OECD countries, the wage growth has systematically lagged behind GDP growth by a lot. In the US, you find that from 1980 to 2020, real wages for the median persons, real wage doesn't rise, and that's stunning. That should not happen. Nobody believed it would ever happen, and I think when people feel that somebody's cheating them, they're right. They're just wrong in who's cheating them. And I think in India we have a slightly different issue, which is that it's hard to tell people that you have to tone down your aspirations. Economic opportunities have not moved as fast as aspirations. Good jobs have not been created at the rate at which I think people wanted, though it's not clear that in the world of AI and everything else that's happening, globalization, there was the possibility of creating that many good jobs. So there is again a need to promise people something. And in India, I think the first order promise is actually of national greatness. And then in the theory of the national greatness, we have kind of built into this idea of a pure nation. And that often generates divisive forces. But I think the primary promise that India is offering and struggling with is this offer of a great, powerful kind of a nation that carries its weight in the world. And I think that particular, then I think a lot of populism builds on that. But I would say the populism is in many ways driven by the primary promise of people want something to hold on to, and what they're being offered is greatness. We are very vulnerable to China and to the US, and for the opposite reason. US is our biggest. We have a major trade imbalance for the US. We get a lot of revenues from the US and we give it to China, and both sides therefore have lots of leverage over us, and we are discovering that right now. So I don't see any. So I think the vulnerabilities are clear. The opportunities have to be that we need to build other relationships, in particular the one that's much weaker than it should be, is given especially our geopolitical vulnerabilities, is the one with the EU, and that's the one that we could be stronger. The EU is bigger market than the US. We could have a bigger relationship with it. We don't, but that's a bit of a history. A lot of people came here to study. They created companies. We have a very good economic connection to many companies because they are led by Indians. This is not. I mean, in sitting in Palo Alto, we know all this, but it means that we didn't do that with Europe, and I think we are therefore much less connected to Europe. People use the word inequality loosely often, and one of the aspects of inequality is the inequality between let's say, the middle and upper middle classes and the poor. And what we're seeing in India in the last some years is, in the data that we have, inequality is going down. Why is it going down? It's going down because the upper middle classes, or the middle classes, the top people who are in the data, basically the rich are not in the data. They never answer survey questions, so they don't exist. We've known that for many years. So But what we haven't before this inequality was increasing. It was increasing because the earnings of the relatively rich was growing faster than that of the poor. Now it's the opposite, and you already start to see this news reports on how real incomes of corporate executives have fallen in the last 10 years because basically the nominal wage is fixed, but the inflation has eaten into it. So there's a lot of kind of popular writing on this. Low-level animation or transcription, medical transcription. These jobs are not going to survive AI. So I think India is really in the firing line of this, and we should be upfront about it, because I think we are a little bit. I think the global centers have helped. They've created new jobs, but it's not clear to me that the scale of them is the same. And in some ways, they cannot be, because these are people who are using AI to do much more sophisticated things, which is perfectly good. But it's not clear to me that there are as many of those sophisticated things to do as there were simple things to do. If AI is going to do all the simple things, it's not clear that there will be as many jobs. In particular, there will be as many jobs for the same people, the relatively poorly educated, but still with people with degrees, people who speak English. So there were a lot of jobs for such people in the particular pre-AI world in India. And India's, AI enabled this, the IT-enabled services was a huge part of our exports. And I think it is a place where AI will have a significant effect. And I don't think there's any way to, I don't think we have a policy instrument at hand to deal with it. I think the thing we haven't at all dealt with is this idea that therefore, if we want to not deal with vastly increased distances between the rich and everyone else, we need to think of redistribution, and it's not on our front burner at all. We'll need public job creation. That's the only real way out, and this is not just for India. It's going to be true for the US as well. There will be, I think, meaningful jobs are being lost. Jobs were meaningful in a previous era are AI can increasingly do them, and therefore they will need something to take their place. And the something has to be, in my view, and there's lots of, I wrote a piece in Times of India, I think day before yesterday, saying that, one of the things, our cities, we don't have good city management, we don't have city managers, we don't have professionals whose job is to make cities work better. We just we rely on a very thin, highly accomplished bureaucracy, but we could make it much bigger by creating more jobs. In particular, I suggest there that we should think of jobs as, instead of giving everybody a lifetime tenure if they get it, we should think of 5-year period where you show that you're good at your job before you get tenure, or otherwise it's up or out. And I think that up or out system really is needed. Then we can create lots more jobs, because the entry level of those jobs should be paid at market wages. So, and then maybe once that happens, you want to protect people when they have a certain level of seniority to act independently of the political system. So maybe it's worth giving them certain protections, but I would say right at the beginning, creating large core of people who provide various kinds of government services. In particular, our cities are in miserable shape. Help those cities improve. Also provide, I think we have an aging population increasingly. The aging, our work suggests, are quite often very depressed. So thinking about all the things that we think of ourselves as being, an economy that, was, you know, where the family is intact. It's sort of the economy that we had maybe in 1970s. And our vision of it is a bit that the few villages are important, cities are less important. I think we're not there anymore. Even the villages, there are so many villages that have 10,000 people. 10,000 people would be a medium-sized town in the US. So I think we need to rethink the way we think about our nation. And there, I think creating public sector jobs would be important. But I don't know whether we have the appetite for it, if we're willing to take on the taxation obligations that generates.